Welcome to the Finding the Magic podcast, where books come alive. I'm Tricia Copeland, a fiction author and host of this show. If you love books, finding great reads, and hearing about the story behind the story directly from the authors, this is the place for you. Whether you like fantasy, science fiction, dystopian, or romance titles, I think you'll find something to love in my playlist. Listen in to discover something magical about a book or two today.
Welcome, Anne-Marie.
Hi, how are you doing, Tricia?
I'm good. Today we have Anne-Marie Mawhiney, or A.M. Mawhiney, as it is printed on her books. I'm so excited. YA fantasy is my favorite genre. I write in it as well. So I'm super excited to dive into your books. You have 3 books, Spindrift, Spelldrift, and Fugitive Rifts. So why don't we start at the beginning with Spindrift?
Okay. What would you like to know?
So are these all part of a series?
Spindrifts and Spelldrifts belong together.
Okay.
Fugitive Rifts is a completely different book, pretty much real world.
Oh, okay.
Whereas Spelldrifts is futuristic science fiction with some fantasy towards the end as the world shifts. And Spelldrifts is 20 years after Spelldrifts and Spindrifts ends. And it's a magical world as teens, the new generation, acquire magical powers around age 14.
Okay, so set us up for the Spindrift Spelldrift series and the world, the characters. Where are we?
So my fiction writing started during the first COVID lockdown. Things were so dire that I really wanted to find a place of hope. So I built one. And in a way, Spindrifts is inspired by my own community of Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, where we're a mining community that for 100 years used very bad polluting processes. And we had dead lakes, no trees, burnt rocks, polluted air. And a bunch of scientists, politicians, community leaders, and the average people came together and said, we're going to change it, and we're going to take a long view. And Sudbury now has lots of green. Our lakes are clean again. Our air is good. And it's a vibrant, healthy biome. So Spindrifts takes place, it could take place anywhere. There has been a devastated land. And it kind of continues the regreening that Sudbury went through, forecasting 50 years into the future, where now the whole world is catching on to the importance of saving Earth because they've been through a lot in those 50 years. And the epicenter of the whole movement is an intergenerational farm called Land of Hope, which is in a very rural area. It's a farmland. A couple of characters are farmers, some are scientists, and the younger generation are just trying to find their way for how they will contribute. It's a world where everybody has value, everybody is respected, and everybody is equal. It's totally inclusive because the view is everybody, there is an exception, who contributes towards saving Earth is worthy of respect and honor. The only people who are excluded for most of the book are the people who are trying to sabotage that. And there's some things that occur around that sub-theme partway through the book. Spelldrifts is the next generation of the teenagers in Spindrifts 20 years later, when the new main characters are 4 teens from about age 13 to age 18. And they start to take on magical powers, as are other children that age all over the world. Between the 2 books, Earth is healed and they're benefiting from it. But in Spelldrifts, you have to have a dynamic tension. So strangers come from another place. We're not sure for a while in the book from where. And they're intent on destroying everything that's happened. And there are small groups of people in the village by the farm who get caught up into that side of the debate. And it takes a lot of magic to resolve how the new world is going to emerge from this conflict.
Interesting. So do they know why that the teens are like developing magic? Is that like a mystery to them, or is it?
It's a world where they just kind of go with it. The powers, it's like, oh, now you have brown hair. You were blonde when you were a child. It's when one of them becomes a shapeshifter, her mother says, oh, you're a beautiful bird. Her twin sister's a little bit flummoxed because she thought she already had a role, but that's momentary. So everything is pretty accepted in this world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And is it, I'm guessing it's the main characters, the teens, who are driving the change here and fighting these strangers who have come trying to like reverse their progress.
It's a unified community pushback. The young ones are definitely leading, but the leader of that territory is actually the matriarch of the family in the second book. And I mean, she plays important roles, but the center of figuring out what's going on and the danger rests with the younger ones.
Neat. It sounds like a really gripping story.
It was certainly fun to write both those books, and the third one, which has nothing to do with the first 2, have been really interesting writing journeys for me.
How did you decide to write a YA book versus an adult book?
I'm a pantster, and it's what came out. So, in fact, when I thought I had to escape from the real world, I pulled out a laptop and I thought, oh, I'm probably going to journal. That doesn't get me away from here. But what came out of my fingers was when she awoke, it was with such joy in her heart. Aww. That made me feel a lot better, but I wasn't sure what was going on. So I kind of thought for a while, and then what came out of my fingers was today was the day her great-granddaughter was returning from a place called Immersion, where they're supposed to find their contribution, but she had not yet, because she had so many potential talents. Her true contribution didn't emerge and doesn't emerge for most of the book. That's part of the character development with her and her sister, who is a phenom musician at age 12 and starts to travel all over the world singing about the Earth Project.
Oh, okay.
And there's a whole chapter where she performs, and that performance, which is 4-dimensional 50 years from now, traces the history that led up to the times the readers are entering.
Oh, neat. That's a good way to kind of, tell that history without telling, without
Yeah.
just writing the history out. This happened, this happened. So did you write some songs for that?
I talked more about the mood and the events that she described. I didn't do songs or music. I probably could have, but I had been away from the piano for a while, and I kept it more descriptive and chanting, and explained that the two children had their own language, and it was more the images surrounding her through probably AI that described what she was singing about.
Oh, neat. So prior to 2020, had you ever written a book or written creatively?
I'd written creatively as a young child. I wrote the darkest poetry I could imagine an 8-year-old writing. I found a couple of them a few years ago in a box my mom had kept. And then in high school, I wrote short stories. And then when I headed off to university, I stopped because academic writing's very different. And then I became an academic, and I had to relearn creative writing through the process with my first book.
Right. That sounds a little bit like my path. Like I was in science and I learned technical writing. I wasn't really ever interested in writing until that point. I enjoyed that. And then from there, my writing progressed to creative writing as well. So,
Yeah, it's an interesting process.
What is your background in academia?
Social work and social policy.
Oh, okay.
Then I became an administrator, and then I went back to something fairly unique in this area, which is rural and northern health, because there's lots of people up north whose health needs are different than in the big cities. So a lot of the themes in my books have to do with social themes and social issues through the eyes of the future.
Yeah, that came out to me as soon as you said social work. I was like, oh, so this is making sense. So it's interesting to talk to people who write sci-fi, and I mean, it kind of sounds like it edges on the dystopian genre as well. But so people who write sci-fi either come from like a science background or like more of a social background, like you were talking about.
Well, and it's funny because a couple of former colleagues from the university who were from the natural science area, when the first book came out, said, there's a lot of science in here. And I said, yes, I've always been interested in science, not academically, but like I've read a lot. And one of them said, like you got things right.
I was about to ask if you did a lot of research, but you just got them right because, if you were always interested in it, you would know the basic principles. So, yeah.
Well, and if I wanted to kind of refine it, I would do some research, but most of it, if people are interested in, for instance, climate change, regardless of viewpoint on it, there are things you can look up to build a world where everything's been sorted out.
Right. So would you consider it more soft sci-fi than like a hard sci-fi where you get lots of technology?
There's technology, a lot of technology in the background.
Okay.
And in both those two books, but it's character driven.
Okay.
Or more than the science. The science fiction is props, the vehicles that they use, the way they communicate, the healthcare patch that they wear that monitors everything. It's all from my imagination, as far as I know.
Well, we're not too far away from that, so
Yeah. So I would say it's more character and plot driven, with background props that facilitate the time period.
And how far in the future do you imagine that it is, like from current day?
The first book's roughly 50 years from now.
Okay.
The one after that is 20 years. And then there's, so 70 years from now. And then there's a post epilogue that's 20 years after the ending of the second book. So we're close to 100 years from now.
Wow. And how much time goes by in each book?
That's a very good question. In the first book, when Fania comes home, she's 14. And by the end, she'd be in her early 20s.
Okay, so probably a big span for a novel.
Yes. And then, but time is sort of feels different in that time period.
Okay.
The second one probably takes place much more quickly, over, I'd say, 2 years.
Okay.
And then with someone looking back on
Right.
to capture what's happened after everything winds up.
Right. Interesting. They sound like really good reads.
They break every rule, I'm sure.
That's okay.
I've always been drawn to books. I read a lot. I'll read 2 or 3 books on a busy week. And after a while, you kind of, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. And I love books where I don't know what's going to happen. And with these books, I think it's kind of a chaotic ride, but it's the future. And future may not be quite as linear as we're used to here.
Right. Well, and I think that's very on point for YA, though. You want to keep it moving, you want to keep it fast, you want to keep them guessing. And that's very much part of what that genre is. And I think that's why I like reading YA, because it's so fast and things happen all the time. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, talk about Fugitive Riffs. What is the premise of that book, and who are the characters?
So it starts about a couple of years from now, where 14s in a high school out west, in a made-up community based on a real community where I visit an aunt who lives there. They're called into their science teacher's class, and the scene opens where one of them's running down the hall. She's late. Basketball practice went late, and she thinks she's in trouble. And she's terrified because she needs a good recommendation from her science teacher to help her get into a university where she'll get a full ride in the States on a basketball scholarship. And she walks in and sees the teacher, 2 other people, and she's thinking, are we all in trouble? 2 she doesn't know. And the third one is somebody that they've known each other all their lives in a small town, but they are not happy to be in the same room. And we don't know what the history is, but it kind of, there's a scene later on that explains it. And it turns out the schools decided that they need to enter into the debate world. And they handpicked these 4 students for different reasons. And each of them is horrified at the idea of being on a debate team. So Grace is a basketball player, and a debate team doesn't kind of fit her jam. Drew is a ski bum from a very rich family, and he thinks it's beneath him because he's a social, jock-like guy. The newcomer, Ollie, is an artistic guy, and we don't learn a lot about him until about halfway through. He's kind of quiet about who he is, and he's a new person. And Dottie is a rather introverted, quirky, but super bright kid. And I mean, she's certainly capable of debate. As it turns out, they all are brilliant at it. But they're all kind of eek, but they decide to go with it. And that's not explained. But they have to work out the tensions in the group, and they have to get to know each other. So the first part of the process is about that. Each of the characters has a very clear idea of their life journey and what they want to do with their lives. And each of them has a crisis that totally changes the trajectory of their lives. And the stories about each of that and how the friendships that emerge show support and help the individual be resilient. Partway through, one person disappears.
Oh.
We get to follow them, but the friends are left behind totally unsure what happened. They knew a little bit about her story that made them very worried about her. But we get to see, not too long after she disappears, where she is and what's happening. And then there's a major event. And the second part of the book is about dealing with the major event, each individual, how it affects them. And how it affects other people. And again, there's social themes and social issues. There's issues about the unhoused. There's issues about mental health. There's planning to develop skiing with adaptive sports equipment for children and youth. So a lot of things in the second half of the book occur at a resort that the rich son's grandfather purchased for him to renovate into this adaptive resort for families with children.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm loving the premise of this. It sounds like, I don't know if you've ever seen the Breakfast Club movie where there's more than 4 of them, but they're like all pushed together and they all are different and then they come to be friends. Obviously, you have some heavier subjects in there than just being what is it called? I don't know what it's called. But anyway, interned into the Saturday program. Detention, thank you. But yeah, so yeah, that sounds like a really good premise and showing like development and growth of those students individually as well as together and in their community, right? So
yeah. And the coming together and support through hard times, and the way each character figures out what's next. Having shattered their dreams, each of them takes a slightly different path for resolving that to move forward.
Right. So did you work with students a lot when you worked in academia?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
When you teach in a school of social work or a professional program, it's a lot different. The classes are smaller. My style of teaching was small groups, then larger discussions. I would set up situations, we would talk about issues, and then develop and talk about the theories that envelope those issues. And that was the way I developed, rather than, some classes outside of professional programs have 300 to 500 students in it. It's impossible to break into small groups usually like that.
Right.
So you do get to know the students. And we also played roles in, they would go out to placements and we would supervise them in placements, like a smaller group.
Right.
So you get to know them pretty well.
That's neat. Yeah, it seems like you have a very good connection to those younger students and that YA to maybe new adult age of students.
Yeah. I feel very connected with that age group, and I don't think my characters are based on anybody that I've ever known, but some people might see bits of themselves in it.
Interesting.
But I'm not aware of that.
Right. Yeah. I know when I write characters, I feel like I pluck personality types from several different people and put them in one character. So.
Well, then you can say, no, it's not you.
Well, and there's so many different personality types, and you probably meet 5 people that are similar personality types, right?
Yeah.
Fun. Well, tell everyone where we can find you and your books.
Okay, I have a website, www.ammawhiney.ca. And it gives you links to bookstores. The books have been connected to 50,000 plus bookstores all over the world. I've had people buy in India, Spain, France, UK, Australia, US, Canada, and I think Germany. And I'm on social media, Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky as at A.M. Mawhiney. People can find me there.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and for people who are listening, Mawhiney is Mawhiney. So AMMAWHINEY.ca for her website. Thank you so much for being here. And what does the future hold for you? Are you writing another book?
Well, I am actually. Early days yet. There's a minor character named Alice in Fugitive Riffs that we meet partway through the second half of the book. She's a minor character, but a significant character. And the resort owner and she eventually strike up a sort of aunt-nephew type relationship. And by the end of the story, we know some things about her, but I found myself wondering about her early life and what led to what happened to her. And so I'm exploring that. I still don't have a really good idea, but I know she's been through some trauma. And I think this book will be an adult book.
Okay. That sounds amazing too. I'm gonna look you up right after this and have to buy all of them probably.
Well, that would be nice. Um, I like honest feedback. So far, the majority of people who give feedback through reviews and talking to me are very positive. But I'm sure there are other readers that think, well, I won't do a review, but put the book down. So I'm
Well,
open to hearing feedback.
yeah, I mean, not every book is for everyone. So you're going to have people that are, oh, I love this book. And some people are like, oh, this wasn't for me, but let's on to the next. So, yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I know my books aren't for everybody, but I'm always really happy to hear that when somebody comes up and says, I really like this book, it's kind of a magical moment.
It always is. Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here. And I hope you'll come back when you release your next book.
Thank you. And I look forward to talking with you again.
Sounds good. Bye.
Bye-bye.